Good morning and welcome to Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition on 92.9 KVRE, online at kvre.com and on iHeartRadio. Alongside Tracy Simpson, I'm Mark Oliver. Tracy, we begin our show this week with a huge story coming out of National Park College. Nighthawk men's basketball, looking ahead to the postseason next week, is red hot right now. Upset wins over North Arkansas College, a nail-biter against ASU Newport, and a big win over South Arkansas College has NPC in the driver's seat looking ahead to the postseason. I mentioned the win on the road in Harrison against the North Ark Pioneers. It was monumental, not just for the NJCAA Region 2 standings, because it also marked a huge milestone for NPC's head coach, Dion Hargrove, picking up his 800th career victory. Coach Hargrove joins us on the show this week. Coach, congratulations on such a big win. North Ark is a huge rivalry for National Park College, and I know that this happened up in North Central Arkansas near your old stomping grounds. How sweet was win number 800 for you?
Well, I mean, we played really well at North Ark, and of course that is a rivalry game up there. I know a lot of people up there and have been in an area for a long time, and just kind of brought back a lot of old memories. And we were just very fortunate. Our players played very well, and we made the last play of the game to win the game. So yeah, it was a huge win just for our program here to keep us on track.
And of course, Coach, I know that the majority of your wins through your career came at the high school level. You've coached boys basketball, girls basketball, even have a stint with baseball in there as well. And then, of course, last year, you became the head coach of National Park College Nighthawk men's basketball, following in the footsteps of your son, Dylan Hargrove, which ended up winning a national championship for NPC. How did all those stops across Arkansas and even Missouri help shape you into the coach that you are today?
Well, I've just been very fortunate. I've been around some really good people. I've been around some really good players, and then they've high character people as well. I think you try to learn something every year, and I think with the experience I've had, I try to continue to do that. And I've learned a lot from this group, and this group has just really came through and peaking at the right time, and that's what it's all about. It's being able to play well coming into the postseason, and that's what we've done. So that's sort of been trademarks of our teams through the years, is what we've been we try to accomplish that, and I'm very proud of this group because I feel like they're there now.
Coach, through the years you've had success, and like Mark was talking about, you're crossing both waters from high school to collegiate level. And in other sports also. Do you find it that big of a change, or is it the same pretty much how you go about coaching these kids at certain levels? I mean, some of them a little bit more immature, maybe more mature. How does that work for you?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, basketball is basketball. I mean, it's the same game. At the college level, it's faster and played above the rim. In high school, it's played around the rim, maybe not quite as fast, but, it's all the same when it comes down to it, and you just try to get your players, and, you want them to be team-oriented, and we work really hard on that, and being able to play together as a group and being able to enjoy the moment because, it doesn't last a long time, and so you get an opportunity to make friends and teammates and compete and have a chance to be successful, and then hopefully you can take that on later on in life and apply it to your life.
Coach, let's expand on that a little bit more. At the junior college level, many see this as a stepping stone for young men trying to get to the next level, continue playing the game that they love, and these players are growing fast. They're growing on the court, off the court. And of course, what's your approach to not only continuing to develop them as basketball players, but also trying to develop their character? These are future husbands. These are future fathers, community leaders, business leaders. What are some of those core values that you hope to instill on those young men who walk through the doors in your program?
Well, I just believe, basketball is a team sport, and so you have to be able to work with others, and, you have some responsibilities and accountabilities, and you have to be on time, and you have to be able to get along with others, and you got to be able to compete for a goal that's larger than yourself. And that starts, that can be in junior high all the way through high school into college level. And that's what we try to do here. That's what we concentrate on, and hopefully we want to be able to get them an associate degree here and be here 2 years with us, and then have an opportunity ultimately to be able to get a 4-year degree and then be able to apply that.
Coach, let's talk about this year's team. Your team is playing its best basketball at exactly the right time. You're into the postseason picture. You have the leading scorer in Region 2 play in Pete Moe II. Kahari Loggins is breaking records. He just set the single-game blocks record for NPC and also became the second Nighthawk ever to record a triple-double. And, of course, this week he was named NJCAA Region 2 Player of the Week. Those two guys are just the tip of the iceberg, though. There's so much leadership that trickles down from the top to the bottom. What has clicked for this group over the last few weeks?
Well, you realize when they come into junior college, they don't know one another. And so you're basically starting the season with strangers. And so they have to learn they learn one another, and then they learn how to get along with one another. And this group really likes one another. And so they play very well together. They got really nice team play concepts. And honestly, they just don't really have, they don't have big egos. And they're team first, and it's all about trying to win games. And I think that's what we've done. And we just got a little spark. We got, we won a buzzer beater about a week ago, and it's kind of lit a fire in us. And since then, we've just played really well. And so I'm very excited for them because it's at the end of the season, and they're excited about the end of the season here. And as a coach, that's what you want is you just want to be able to play. You want to play very well at the end of the year.
Coach, without giving too much away, because somebody may be listening, you never know. You've obviously seen these teams so far this year. Is there any kind of strategy, or anything in the lineup, or any little twist you're going to do to further y'all's enhancements at winning that championship?
Well, we're trying to get in the tournament. We want to make sure we get in the tournament, and then, you're always tinkering a little bit, with either your defense or your offense to maybe give you some kind of advantage or edge. But, at the end of the day, we try to play harder than whoever we're playing against, and we want to be able to play together as a team and then get ourselves in position where we can win games late. And so that's really what we concentrate on.
Of course, Sophomore Day on Saturday, Southeast Arkansas College comes to town. You're honoring 4 great sophomore leaders for this squad: Pete Moe, Kahari Loggins, Addison Shelton, and Jeremy Dixon. What message would you like to send to these young men who have really helped come in and reshape this program?
Yes, well, Pete's a first year, and he came in for us. He's a sophomore, but it's his first year as NPC, and he's had a great season. He's a really nice player, and he's a really good teammate, and he's had a really nice season for us. Jeremy Dixon, he was here last year as a redshirt, so this is his second year, and I'm just so proud of him because of where he's at now, and he's going to have an opportunity to graduate, and he's going to have a chance to go play at a 4-year. Addison Shelton's been with us. This is his second year as well. And Addison's been a great team player for us. He's a great team leader for us. And he's going to have a chance to continue his education as well and have a chance to go play. Kahari Loggins is a second-year person as well. Kay was a redshirt last year. And this year he's had a breakout season, especially the second half of the season. And so he's going to have multiple opportunities. And he's also all 4 of those young men are on track to graduate. And so we're very excited for them.
And of course, Coach, looking ahead to the postseason, I know you like to take it one game at a time, but the Region 2 tournament will be in Harrison at North Arkansas College, the same place where you just picked up win number 800, your old stomping grounds. Does that add any extra motivation or confidence for your guys knowing that they can win on that court this season?
Yeah, right. Well, I think you're exactly right, Mark. you feel comfortable when you go somewhere and you play and you've won there. And it's a tough place to play, though. We were very fortunate up there. We end up making the last play of the game to win the game, but it's a tough trip for us up there. It's about 3 hours, and so right now we've got 2 games left. We got Mid-South tonight. And they've already won the league, and so be a tough game for us tonight. We have Sea-Ark on Saturday, and we had a shootout with them about weeks ago, and I think the final was maybe like 112 to 104. They can really score it, and so we've still got a lot of work left to do, and then hopefully we can get into the postseason, and then we'll concentrate on our efforts that way.
Coach, congratulations on the success of your team this year. Nighthawk men's basketball is certainly the hottest team in NJCAA Region 2 play right now. And congratulations, of course, on win number 800. I know it's a huge milestone not only for you, but for your basketball family as well. And best wishes to you guys the rest of the way this season.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
Coach Dion Hargrove of National Park College Nighthawk men's basketball. They're at home on Saturday, 3 o'clock. They'll take on Southeast Arkansas College on Sophomore Day, the final regular season home game of 2026. Much more to come on Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition. We've got another head coach coming your way here on the Garland County scene that is making waves. We'll talk to Coach Detmering of Fountain Lake High School next on 92.9 KVRE.
Second quarter coming up.
And we're back, Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition on 92.9 KVRE. He's Tracy Simpson. I'm Mark Oliver. On the basketball court, the postseason is not only around the corner for college basketball, but it is on the high school circuit as well. And Garland County is heating up over in Cobra Country, where Coach Jake Detmering's Fountain Lake Cobras are soaring into the postseason, hot off of a huge upset win over Little Rock Mills, and also a very big milestone for one of its key players. Coach Detmering joins us on the broadcast this week. Coach, we've been excited to get you on the phone all year long. What a year to remember it has been for Fountain Lake Charter High School. This team's been on a tear all season long, and when you look at this group, what is the identity that has allowed them to play at such a high level night after night?
The first thing that comes to mind is just our team chemistry. The kids love each other. They hang out. They're buddies. And you combine that with, I feel like I just got some gritty kids. They're really tough and they're really competitive. So they're always, in every game. They play intense, physical, scrap. We're not the biggest team when we take the court, but I think we have the biggest hearts whenever we're playing those games.
Coach, I've seen, you coach through the years, time and time again, but it's the consistency is you've always got those kids that just give it all. I mean, the grit is there. There's no doubt. And like you said, you've never had the biggest kids around or the largest squad. But is that a coaching style that you just came up with? Is that the way you played, or how did that come to affect how you get the most out of your players?
Well, I'm an intense coach when I'm on the sideline, and I coach hard, and I think that probably was reflective of how I played as a player. I was kind of one of those blue collar guys that played good defense and was diving for every loose ball. So I think that's what naturally comes out of me, and naturally what I praise and encourage my kids the most. So we talk a lot about this hitting a standard of play. It doesn't matter what your opponent is. When you tip off, you're at your best, you're playing, you're willing to sacrifice for the betterment of the team. And I think just building that culture, and then when you combine some high character kids that are just tough and care about each other, I think that's a good formula to have a great team.
Coach, every great season has a moment where everything clicks. What was the turning point for this group? What was the moment this year that you realized, okay, this is the team that can make a real run this year?
Well, I'll go all the way back to the summer, the way we competed in team camps and stuff. I saw the intensity and how hard they play, and I was really looking forward to this season. Had a lot of returners. So we hit the when we started season, we had some adversity in the early season with some injuries. Cooper came down and had a shoulder that we rested a little bit. Dylan sprained his ankle and missed a few weeks. So we had some adversity, and I think that helped us in the long run because other kids had to step up and do a little bit more. They had to look to make more plays. They had to hit more shots, and we found ways to win those games early. So I think that helped some of our role players have larger roles. And then when we're rolling into our conference, I feel like we're in the toughest 4A conference in the state of Arkansas, and I think games as of late, we played Little Rock Hall, a really close game at home. They're the number 2 team in the state. And then we had, due to the ice game, our ice week delays, we had to reschedule a game with Mills. So we played Mills back-to-back nights. And the game at Fountain Lake, we lost a heartbreaker, had a chance to win. And my kids showed tremendous heart and just a lot of guts to go to Mills the next night and upset the number 1 team on their home floor. So the games here recently, I think's given our kids even more belief than they already had.
Coach, and you were bragged on the other day. We had Coach Eddie Lamb on here also, and he was talking about just what you were talking about, the grit that you had when you played also, and now it's instilled in your players. But we've seen also this year, and of course you see these teams, a couple of times. We've seen them both win at home and on the road. And you're not just packed with a bunch of seniors this year. I mean, how does that work with you guys and you getting them prepared because y'all have won some key games on the road?
It's just taking every practice 1 rep at a time, looking for improvement, having an improvement mindset, and just not being content and complacent where you're at. I knew we were coming in through a tough stretch once we get to our conference games with, East M's a top 10 team, Hall and Mills, we just talked about, they're number 1 and 2. So, I knew we were going to have some tough games coming up. And my messaging to them was, hey, we're going to compete and play our tails off to win. But long term, win or lose, going through those stretch of games is going to better prepare us for postseason. We've qualified for the region tournament next week. And so just having that vision and letting the kids, have them buy in to whether ups and downs we experience along the way, that we're playing for a long-term postseason run. I think the kids have done a good job. Not, after a tough loss, we bounce back, get back to work the next day, and go at it again. And they've done a tremendous job with that.
Coach, let's talk more about those kids. Of course, your son, a key piece of the equation. Dylan Detmering has been a consistent scorer for the Cobras for years, but we've really seen a lot of growth this year. And of course, a huge milestone for your program, eclipsing 2,000 career points. I mean, that's a monumental achievement at any level. But what did that moment mean to you as a coach and as a dad?
Oh, I tell you what, it was awesome. It was very rewarding father-son moment. Last night was a night that I'll always remember. Had a tough team go upset a number 1 team on the road on their senior night. A team that I don't think's lost. I can't remember the last time they've lost a conference game. I know it hasn't been the last 2 years. And then, having my best scorer and my son, eclipse the 2,000 point mark. That's something that I'll never forget. It's been extremely rewarding, and it'll definitely be a lasting memory. But it was a pretty awesome night, both from a coach and a dad perspective.
And of course, it's not just Dylan. This is a roster that has multiple guys that can impact a game. Who are some of those unsung heroes, those glue guys that really make this team special? Eventually, they're going to double and triple team Dylan. So who steps up and really shines brightly whenever their number's called?
Whenever you say glue guy, the first kid that comes to mind is Cooper Buss. He does a lot for us. When he's on the court, things just go better. He gets rebounds. He can guard players bigger than him. He can guard players smaller than him. He's involved in every set play. He's just a winner and makes plays. Last night was a true team win. I know Dylan scored 32 points, but Trayton Gray and Peyton Harwood, they did a fantastic job handling pressure. Little Rock Mills is very good defensively, and they were double teaming and trying to get the ball out of Dylan's hands. And Peyton and Trayton did a fantastic job handling pressure, getting the ball in the right spots, and making plays. Going by their man, whether that was a score or finding a shooter in the corner or a post man to dish to. Landon Clem stepped up, and he had a really good, nice game. Not only making threes, Landon shot well for us all season, but he was fantastic with ball security last night. We had a little stretch there. He had some turnovers, and he did a great job. Never kept poised, hit some shots. Then we had Jordan Giles came in off the bench and had some big buckets early. We kind of had a post rotation with Jordan Giles, Zane Anthony, and even sophomore Garrison Gale came in the game, and they all made some plays. Jordan had 3 big buckets. Zane played real tough, got a lot of rebounds. I think he scored 1 or 2 buckets. Garrison came in for a few minutes when we were in foul trouble, and I think he had 2 blocks and a big bucket. So everybody really stepped up. Nolan Kallmeyer and Augustine Vasquez, they came in and gave some minutes off the bench. They both come in and give us a shot of energy. They play really hard. I think Augustine took a charge last night. He's a tough, gritty kid. So it was a true team win, and those guys have been doing it all year. Kind of what I alluded to earlier, the guys that weren't Dylan Detmarine or Cooper Bust early in the season got a lot more minutes and had bigger roles, and I think that really helped them to really step up the game this year.
Coach, in the past, we've been around the court there at Fountain Lake for a long time, as you have been, but you always haven't had that stacked bench and such. Is there a different style of coaching do you have to transition to or anything like that? Because now you do have a bench to go to. Do you ever take every game different, or do you particularly spot kids up in certain areas where you're going to have them?
When you have some depth on the bench, you can be a little bit more flexible with your matchups and lineups. If the other team has a big lineup, I might start big and go a couple posts in there. If I feel like we're going to get pressured, I can go to a smaller lineup and try to have a little bit more ball handling and guard playing. So that definitely gives us some flexibility. The challenge of it throughout the season was just kind of finding what rotation works and what group of kids is gelling, and so every game that's a little bit different sometimes. So the flexibility is good. The challenge from the coaching side of it is, all right, what group's working, who's playing well right now. But it's a luxury to have where you have a bench that you can go to, whether it's in foul trouble or just different matchups and what the opponent's trying to do to you. So having a bench, I've had teams where we played 5 kids almost the whole game, and fortunately we're not in that situation this year. And we got more bench and more kids that can come in and give us some relief in situations and also come in and make plays.
Coach, you mentioned it once already. The postseason is right around the corner. What is the message that you're giving to your team right now as the wild, wild west gets ready to begin?
My message has been, if we're competing and finding ways to beat teams in our league, we're in the toughest conference in the state. If we can compete and find ways to win against these guys, we can play with anybody in the state. I think that all came into fruition last night when we upset the number 1 team on the road. If you can go in there and knock off a Little Rock Mills on the road, it doesn't matter who we're tipping off against. You're going to have a chance if you stay together, if you hit that standard of play that we expect, and just play with guts and toughness that they've been playing with. And so I think the kids have a lot of belief right now, and that's been the message that we've had is our eyes are on postseason. We're taking one game at a time, but this conference play is getting us ready for a postseason run.
Yeah, absolutely. Being battle-tested, confidence is high, momentum is high. Do you see any challenges ahead for the squad as you enter tournament play?
Well, when we go to region and that point and beyond, every team's good. Every team playing in the 4A classification. One thing I've seen is size. Size is always a concern for us. We have kids that play bigger than what they are, but we're one of the smaller schools in the classification, so most of the times when we're playing another school, they have more size. We're in a very athletic league right now, and there's other really athletic teams. So the 4A classification's a tough classification when you get to postseason, because there's a lot of talent across the state that you're going to have to beat out. So every game's going to be a grind out game and going to be tough, and we got to be playing at a high level. And I'm optimistic that we're peaking at the right time and that we'll be up for those challenges.
Coach, you're speaking of size. I remember it wasn't too long ago when Dylan was out on that court and the basketball was almost as big as him, and you holding him up to make those little shots on the goal and stuff. So I know that was a special moment. And any dad that's ever coached out there, it always is. And congratulations to you and him and the future for you guys, and good luck coming up. All right, man?
I appreciate Tracy. It's been a blessing to be at Fountain Lake as long as I have been, and to watch my kids grow and come up through the program. And I'm a blessed man and grateful for it every day.
Coach Jake Detmering of Fountain Lake High School boys basketball. Best of luck in the postseason, Coach. We'll be rooting for you all along the way.
All right, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
More to come on Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition right here on 92.9 KVRE. And we're back, Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition on 92.9 KVRE with Tracy Simpson. I'm Mark Oliver. We keep things on the basketball court here, Tracy, where the idea of tanking is not a new concept. It's something we've talked about quite a bit on our show over the years, but tanking is back at the forefront of the NBA discussion coming out of All-Star Weekend this year, because as critical as I've been of Commissioner Adam Silver, he's finally reached a breaking point and has went on record saying this has gotten out of hand. This needs to change. It's the culmination of years of frustration, analytics-driven incentives, and new, and maybe even possibly the driving force behind Silver playing his hand. Now the NBA is receiving outside pressure from the gambling industry itself. The industry, who also we've talked about quite a bit, that we believe plays a large part in the integrity and character issues of the NBA, not just the NBA, but pretty much all professional and now amateur sports on the collegiate level as well. The NBA is staring head on at a credibility problem, and Adam Silver knows it. And I think that he realizes that his legacy is going to be focused more around the problems plaguing the NBA instead of the solutions on how to solve it. And I see this as a backslide to try to figure out how to solve one of the major problems. So how did we get here? Tanking's been part of the NBA for decades, but the modern era of analytics and social media and the spotlight has really made the incentives more clear and more tempting than ever. The NBA tried to combat this back in 2019, flattening out the lottery odds and forcing teams to find ways to bottom out strategically. Silver went on record this past week saying that tanking is the worst than we've seen in recent memory. And now it comes down to, how do we solve this? What do we do to de-incentivize these teams from basically throwing their season away if, they're not going to be in contention for a championship or bust, as we've said. Heavy fines have not seemed to fix the issue, with the Utah Jazz receiving a $500,000 fine in the past couple of weeks, and the Indiana Pacers as well, without Tyrese Halliburton this season due to the torn Achilles. They've basically folded it up, and they're trying to fight for better draft positioning as well. The fines aren't working. The fans are losing interest. Your thoughts on tanking, not just in the NBA, but all professional sports right now?
Mark, we got to roll this back a little bit too. Is he on Vegas's payroll? I mean, we got to look at this realistically, Mark.
This is a possibility.
Because we know up front, he's no telling what he's making as a commissioner. We know what his payroll is. It's public information. But the problem is now he's decided to change things up a little bit because outside is making him do that, or Vegas, should I just say. But why is it taking so long for him to come to full circle here? We've known this. We've been talking about, like you said, we've been talking about this on this show for a long time. And not just in the professional ranks, but like you said, at the college levels. And this is a disease that's not going to go away until it's reckoned with. And sure enough, he is one of the biggest problems. This should have been looked into from the very get-go, but yet he turned, and it was just that simply. He turned the other way. And now it's taking Vegas to step up because they're losing all this money because these high-ranking professional players they're deciding not to play on certain days, or they're deciding to have a bad game, so to speak, or maybe all of them. Well, guess what? I think it should all fall back onto him. I think that the guy should be replaced to begin with, somebody with a little bit more backbone, to be honest with you. But for him to wait till Vegas makes up their mind to tell him what to do, well, if this happens, Mark, where does it stop?
It's a double-edged sword. Let's dig in a little bit deeper. This is new territory when it comes to the tanking discussion. According to reporting, the gambling companies, who are now deeply intertwined with the NBA's business model, were furious that teams were not disclosing unusual lineups or strategies, and it was making it impossible to set accurate betting lines. That pressure reportedly reached Adam Silver directly, and now maybe it's coincidence. Maybe Adam Silver was going to make a move anyway, but it looks like everything is falling into place, and it looks like the two may be deeply related here in terms of now it's time to make a change here. Now, on one hand, you can argue that the NBA was trying to throw off the gambling companies by maybe potentially asking teams to not disclose some of these things, not make some of these moves public here, making it difficult for the gambling entities on the outside looking in to really run their business model, right? But on All-Star Weekend, Adam Silver came out and said, look, fans are now openly rooting for their teams to lose if they're not championship contenders. And that's a quote that hit me really, really deeply. As a fan of the Utah Jazz, yeah, and I have taken a lot of lumps over the years for being the fan of an absolute terrible franchise in the NBA. He's right. I'm in the boat there. If they're not, they have great pieces here. Of course, we talked about the Jaren Jackson Jr. trade at the trade deadline there. Utah looks like it could be a very competitive squad going into next year. But yeah, I have nothing to look forward to for the rest of this season. You know, they've just put JJJ down on the bench for the rest of the year. You know, I'm looking ahead to next year. I've already given up on this season as a fan. So he's right. I'm rooting for my team to lose, and I am rooting for the team to do exactly what I hate for the integrity of this game in this league. But everybody knows that this upcoming NBA draft is a stacked draft class. And I mean, I want my team to have a piece of the pie. I want my team to be competitive. I want my team to have a chance to win the championship. The whole Cooper Flag thing, Utah was positioned.
You just stole my thunder right there. Exactly.
Utah was positioned well last year and didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that the NBA is thinking about expanding on. You know, okay, so what can the NBA actually do about it here? There's a couple of things here that I think the NBA could do, and Adam Silver, if you're listening, you're welcome for the advice here. The first one is really the nuclear option, and that's take away draft picks. It's no secret that teams are not playing their best players, playing a G League capable lineup, resting people, or simply just throwing the game in tight affairs to have more losses, up their chances. It's a lottery system, right? So it's not the worst team in the league gets the number one pick anymore, but your chances are significantly raised if you're at the bottom of the barrel. Nuclear option here, Adam Silver says is now on the table, taking away the first round draft pick altogether. If it's determined that you are tanking and you are throwing the integrity of your season and a chance to build for next year, losing that first round draft pick is far more painful than a fine, and it directly attacks the incentive on its own there. And I think this is something that might actually work, because right now tanking works because the downside is basically zero. The fine doesn't matter. Public shaming doesn't matter. The system still rewards losing, but removing that draft pick flips the math. If the league comes out and says, If we determine that you intentionally manipulated the competitiveness of your squad, you're going to lose your first-round pick no matter what pick you get. That changes the math. That changes the game. Right now, tanking, you're not guaranteed the top pick, but losing the pick entirely, I think would be catastrophic enough to change behavior there. It's just like the equivalent in the NCAA of losing scholarships. Another idea that I really, really like here, look, the NBA wants this in-season tournament to work. It's not working. They're playing in the first half of the year. It's a meaningless tournament. All it does is get potentially more pocket change into the hands of the players that already have millions.
And the owners.
I mean, right.
Yeah.
There's no real competitive advantage to it. So maybe let's add one to it. If the in-season tournament is here to stay, what if the winner of the in-season tournament is guaranteed a playoff position? Maybe they're guaranteed that last seed no matter what for the play-in tournament coming up around the postseason. Suddenly then teams hovering around that 500 mark have a reason to push here. Or maybe there's a draft pick associated with the winner of the in-season tournament. You could go as high and as meaningful as maybe a top 10 protected pick. An idea that I think I like better in that neighborhood is if you win the in-season tournament, you get an extra bonus pick. So once the first round is over in the books, before the beginning of the second round, there's a bonus pick right there in the middle. And that goes to the winner of the in-season tournament. So I think that there's ways that they could incentivize this to give the in-season tournament more meaning, but also it propels teams to continue competing. I also think you move the in-season tournament to the second half of the season because there's not a lot to play for in the first half of the season. That's when you see a lot of your star players resting, and that's when you see the load management. Most teams turn it up after the All-Star break, making that last push there because there's only 82 games in the season. It's not like the MLB where you really have to be pedal to the metal all year long. It's not like the NFL where you only get one game a week and every game is meaningful and matters there. The NBA could really make some meaningful changes here, and I think it could really de-incentivize tanking going forward.
Mark, but let's back up just a little bit. Let's back up. How do you, and who's going to be on this board besides one guy to figure out if they're tanking, even when it's obvious, which we've seen it time and time again.
I know.
How are you going to say, are you going to come up with a new set of rules and regulations to consider it tanking? There's no way. First of all, a coach can change his lineup anytime he wants to. He does not have to submit a lineup so many hours before a game.
Sure.
All he does is do it right when the game starts. Now, generally they do because of what? Because of TV and radio and all the media outlets and everything like that, okay? And all of a sudden now they're letting those lineups go. Why? Because the gambling sites. That right there automatically pushes all those prop bets. How much is so-and-so going to make? How many free throws is so? That is why they're submitting. Back in the day, you didn't have to submit. You didn't. That was an edge. You didn't want them to know who you were sitting in the front five or who's coming off the bench.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was an advantage.
Knowledge is power.
That was the deal. Well, nowadays, that's published 3-4 days, even as much as a week or two. Unless somebody gets hurt, of course, you got to encounter that. But nowadays, that's nothing like it used to be when you were coaching. The only time that comes into work is when you're at the high school and junior high level, which I'm sure sooner or later it's going to affect that also, because now you got some of these better stars coming out of high school right away. And yes, there are prop bets on high school players right now where they're going to go play college. So I'm just telling you right now. So there's so many different things that you got to look at to figure this out, but they're not going to stop tanking, man. They're not going to stop it, Mark.
Well, one thing's for sure, it's not just Adam Silver's problem. It's everyone's problem, from Roger Goodell to the MLB. Everybody's involved.
Yeah.
But what Adam Silver can do here, and look, to me, it's going to take a lot to save his reputation and save his legacy for the NBA. But what Adam Silver can do here, if he does it right and has meaningful change for the NBA, that could trickle down to the rest of professional sports, and it could be an absolute game changer. It doesn't allow us to erase the bad, but it allows us to focus on something really, really good that he could do for the game. and it could be an absolute game changer, and it could start in the NBA. Let us know your thoughts on tanking, whether it's NBA or your favorite professional sport. Text us now, 501-915-1300. What would you do to eliminate teams failing on purpose and affecting the integrity of the game? Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition continues in a moment on 92.9 KVRE.
Fourth quarter coming up.
And we're back. Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition, 92.9 KVRE with Tracy Simpson. I'm Mark Oliver. Tracy, we're about a month away from the beginning of March Madness, and the men's college basketball scene has gotten even wilder as we approach the finish line here. With a couple of key losses, Arizona has seemingly fallen from that top spot, fallen from grace, if you will. Michigan has rose to the top spot with Houston, Duke, and UConn all making noise as well. This is as good as it gets for the month of February here. We've got a really big matchup happening tonight at 5:30 in D.C. on a neutral floor. It's number 1 Michigan and number 3 Duke. Two teams that look every bit like Final Four favorites meeting for a clash of the Titans, if you will. Michigan entering with a 25-1 record, winners of 5 straight. Duke, winners of 4 of their last 5, sitting at 24-2. These two teams alone have numerous players that are going to be featured very much so in that upcoming NBA draft that we just talked about in the previous segment there. But this is more than just a big game between top-tier teams. This is a game that can absolutely reshape the national landscape based on who wins. The ripple effect, if you will. A win for Michigan in this one cements the Wolverines as the clear number 1 overall seed, gives the Big Ten a major resume boost, and Dusty May's squad becomes the undisputed national title favorite heading into March. Conversely, if Duke wins, they'll likely to jump up to either number 1 or number 2 in the AP poll, and the ACC gets a massive credibility bump. Cameron Boozer becoming the front runner for National Player of the Year. He's likely to go number 1 overall in the upcoming NBA draft. A win for Duke here could really make things even tighter whenever you consider Arizona still in the mix, UConn, Purdue, Houston. They're all going to be watching this game very, very closely here. This is the kind of February match that shapes Selection Sunday. Who do you like between Michigan and Duke?
Well, I'll be honest with you, after watching Duke and Arkansas play earlier in the season, and I know it's two ends of the tails here with the beginning of the year and then the latter part going into the conferences ending up their season. But after think about it, just like you said, this has been crazy because Houston getting beat earlier in the week, and such. This is becoming a topsy-turvy kind of top 5, I should say, because those key 1, 2s, and 3s have been pretty much the same all year. But now we're starting to see the cream rise to the top. And I'll be honest with you, instead of the 1, 2s, and 3s, it goes all the way back to 1, 2, 3 to 10. But I think Duke, I'll be honest with you, and I don't think Michigan's held the number 1 in 10 years, I believe it is, something like that. And, of course, everybody remembers the Fab Five and such. But this has been a year where Michigan, besides that one loss, and I don't think, of course, they weren't on their game that night. But I think overall, in the big picture of it, I think Duke has got the better all-around team. Now, don't get me wrong, Michigan's got a great front 5, but I think the bench, and you've heard me talk about this before, Mark, at this part of the season, it's not like the first part where everybody's fresh, everybody's got legs, their hops are still going on, but the bench means so much. And I think if you look at the bench, you got guys that are on Duke right now that could be playing starters for a lot of teams around there. And I'm not just talking about anybody. I'm talking Power 5 schools, Power 4s. They could be starting anywhere, but yet they come off the bench at Duke. I just think, and since a neutral site, of course, if we were playing at Duke or at Michigan, either or at Ann Arbor, it would be totally different. But with the neutral site, I'm going to go the bench play to Duke. And that's where I'm going to sit at right now. And, of course, as we talk right now and then the latter part of this week, the top 10 are going to change again. The top 20 is going to change again because, you got a lot of these inter-rival squads and 1s and 2s going against each other, 5s and 6s going against each other. Because like you said, whether it's ACC or the 10 or the 12, it's all conference play, and they're all ranked. So you're going to see some losses right now. We've seen that already a lot in the SEC, already.
That's right. That's right.
Big game for Arkansas later today also, and then they still got Florida down the road. So you're seeing a lot of conference play right now, which is going to shape the top 20. And like you said, the bubble is really going to bust for somebody. I'm just telling you right now.
And of course, you talk about Arkansas, they're currently projected to make it into the tournament likely as a 5 seed, which sounds good. Hey, a 5 seed, not bad. But then you remember historically, it seems in the first round, there's always a 5 that loses to a 12. You don't want to be that one. I don't know that Coach Cal's Hogs are going to be that one. They're playing some pretty good basketball right now. Let's go back to Duke. This is a team that had early growing pains at the beginning of the season, looked like a shell of what they are now back in November, but now they look a lot more connected. They're disciplined. They're dangerous. They've matured a lot throughout the midseason, and of course, it's the Boozer brothers. They're the real deal. The hype was enormous coming in. Cameron is a Player of the Year candidate, and Caden is really that steadying force that every contender needs. He ends up being the glue guy for this squad. Caden Boozer with the high IQ guard play. He controls the pace of the game. He really helps make Duke's offense flow, and he defends multiple positions well. You talk about the bench play for the Blue Devils here. Elliot Cadeau is someone that stretches the floor really, really well, finds the open man, and creates easy looks for some of Duke's scorers. Ade Mara is a 7'3" powerhouse, averaging just shy of 3 blocks per game. He's going to be a huge X factor down the road as well. The ACC in itself may not be as strong this year, but Duke is. This is a program built on legacy, built on tradition. This is a team that does have some challenges down the road as well, because they know that Cameron Boozer is going to be the guy. Other teams are already trying to lock in and try to shut him down. That'll be Michigan's game plan all night tonight in this one. And Duke isn't necessarily the biggest team out on the floor, so a more physical team could potentially push them around on the inside there. But just as we talked about with Coach Hargrove at the beginning of this week's show, or Coach Detmering later on in the show, both of those ideas ring true, being the hottest team going into the dance. A win for Duke here would be monumental for the Blue Devils program here, but it's not going to be easy. Michigan has title contender written all over them. I remember watching Michigan take on Michigan State. Gosh, it feels like around Christmas time. Maybe it was earlier in the season. I remember Michigan State coming out of the game, making an absolute run on Michigan. The Wolverines were down double digits, and they never lost their composure. They never lost their confidence. They roared back. They took care of business. They never broke a sweat, and that is the sign of a dangerous team out there, a team that goes out on the floor, expects to win as soon as the opening tip-off is had. This is a team, Yaxel Lendenberg is the engine for this squad. He's an impact player, high IQ. He's very versatile. He anchors that interior. He can rebound well. He can defend well. He finishes to the hoop. He's their glue guy, and he is a big man to try to get around for Michigan here. Trey McKinney, the freshman, 6'4", 225. He's a force down low. LJ Kaysen, Ricky LeBird. There's a lot of versatility for Michigan here, but I really think that this is a team that went from good to great and even a national title favorite really back late in November. A couple of 2 or 3 really big double-digit wins. They destroy San Diego State, a team that's going to be in the tournament. They destroy Auburn, and they beat Gonzaga by 40. And just in a 3-day stretch, mind you, getting all 3 of those monumental wins, that propelled this team forward. They looked like the best team in the country then. They look like the best team in the country today.
Yeah, and you're right. The bigs down low you could definitely be right there, make a difference on that, Mark. Of course, hitting the boards is what it's all about, and getting seconds, and that's something that Duke has lived on all year long, and that's the only thing that scares me. I'm just saying I think they're both about equal, but I think when it comes down to it, I think the bench is going to come off and make the difference. Fresh legs, Mark. That's just all I'm going with on that one.
Well, you're absolutely right. Fresh legs will be paramount here. Both of these teams have their star players that they lean on heavily, but you're right. Duke's bench, Duke's depth on paper looks stronger. You think about the health and fatigue of these teams. We said there's still a month to go before the beginning of March Madness in Michigan at number 1. has that target on its back, maintaining that focus late through February, being able to overcome the pressure that comes along with it. We saw Arizona, Charles Barkley said a few weeks ago that the upcoming men's basketball tournament was the Arizona Wildcats Invitational. That's how good this Wildcats team was. Now a couple of losses, they're still right there in the mix, and make no bones about it, they are still a very strong team and one of my favorites going into the tournament. But it's just that important to see how much one loss, how much two losses can really start changing confidence and public opinion about your program.
No, Mark, we're seeing that with a lot of them, though. I mean, I'm telling you right now, everybody's already counted out your Miami of Ohio's.
Yeah.
And they're undefeated. They're already counting them out because they're simply not the quality of play and the style. And, of course, what we always talk about, who they've played, So let the naysayers say what they want to. Let's get through these conference tournaments first, and then we'll start talking who's hot and who's not.
A lot to be decided coming up there. Who is your favorite to win March Madness? I know we're a little bit early, but there's got to be an early front runner in your mind. You can text us now, 501-915-1300. That's our show, Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition, right here on 92.9 KVRE. We're here every Saturday at 10 a.m. He's Tracy Simpson. I'm Mark Oliver. We'll catch you next week.
Game over.